I'll let Carissa tell you a little more about her background and qualifications in just a minute. Carissa Cawley is a former stay-at-home mom. She is now the CEO of her own real estate investment company. She helps investors all over the world get into real estate investing and build real wealth by duplicating her 10-step system that made her $2 million in her first year. Carissa is one of the most sought-after real estate trainers out there who has clients from 7 different countries, travels across all the world teaching investors all about building wealth through real estate investing. Carissa, for those investors on the line who are not familiar with you, tell us a little more about your background and how you got started.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Jackie, for the intro. I appreciate that. For those of you that might not know me, I was a stay-at-home mom just a few short years ago. And just like everybody, I was looking for a way to make more money. I had come from the pharmaceutical background. I had a corporate background before that. But once you have a baby and, you become a mom, and I kind of wanted to be home with my children. So looking for a way to make some additional income. So I got started in this business. I actually got, just like all of you, I'm sure, I bought the books and the tapes. I went to the seminars and spent upwards of about $160,000 and got to the point where my husband said, you know what, you've spent $160,000, you've maxed out your credit cards, take some of the information that you've learned and apply it before you spend any more money. Ironically, at that same time, I met somebody through my church who was making lots of money in the real estate world, owned a greater percentage of the islands in Hawaii, believe it or not, and actually asked that gentleman if he would mentor me. Through his mentorship and one other mentor, I actually took all of the knowledge that I gained through the books and the tapes and did my first deal in St. Louis, Missouri. I bought that house for $36,000, and I 4 weeks later made $30,000. And I'll tell you something, a lot of people say, well, you live in San Diego, why did you go to St. Louis, Missouri? And quite honestly, at that time, I got started out of state because where I lived, our prices prices of houses out here look like phone numbers. We were looking at about $300,000 to $400,000 at that time on average for a single-family home. And, I'd put my own home that we'd purchased, the down payment on a credit card. So there was no possible way I could get started in real estate in California. So I went to a market where I'd gone to college, knew some people, and where it was affordable and it made sense. That allowed us to basically live where we live, but invest where it makes sense. So after $30,000 in that first deal, fast forward, that really lit my fire, obviously. That was more money than I'd had in my bank account at one time in my whole entire life. So a year later, we made $2 million in the business. Wasn't a cakewalk. It wasn't a get rich quick. It was work hard, put the effort in, and, make a great financial return on the backside. So through our trial and through doing hundreds of deals in our first couple of years of business, we really learned and put together a system that allowed us to basically work from home, live in San Diego, and invest in other markets. We now invest in 23 different markets in the United States. So I feel very proud to be able to teach others exactly what it is, the steps that we really took. I'm a firm believer of giving people all of the pieces of the puzzle, because I think there's a lot of folks out there that have just about everything they need, but maybe they're missing one piece of that puzzle, one tool or one contact or one resource. We've put together exactly what it is that we do on a daily basis, and we've been teaching others for about 5 years now all across the country. So it's been a huge, greatly gratifying, hugely successful for us. We still invest. We're active investors. I will tell you guys this. You won't hear anything from me that I haven't used or done myself. I don't believe in teaching things that, maybe have worked way back when but aren't working right now. So the things that I'm going to share with you tonight are things that the actual strategies that we're using, the websites that we're using. And the biggest thing is I want to teach you guys how to harness the power of the Internet to generate long-term wealth, okay? And all of you have access to the Internet or you wouldn't be on this call tonight. There's a lot of resources, tools, contacts, a lot of information. And honestly, we've been able to build our business over 100% every single year we've been in business, even in spite of the economy being the way that it is right now. Our business is growing. There's a lot of opportunity out there. So I want to share that stuff with you and get on the road and teach you guys some things that you can take away from this call after our short, time together tonight, you can take away from this and actually apply to your business and make money. So we're going to jump right in here, you guys. Go to the next slide here. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is why I do what I do. A lot of people say, it's funny, if you've got a training business or, you're training people, you've got your own investing business, why are you still doing what you're doing? You guys, I love this business. Real estate is my passion. I'm very energetic. I'm a little under the weather today, so you might not hear it in my voice tonight as much as you normally would, but got a lot of energy and a lot of passion. I love what it is that I do. This is why I do it. I've got 2 babies, 2 are girls. I've got weddings to pay for, college to pay for, and that's what drives me every day. What have I accomplished? I started out, just like many of you, I'm sure, I didn't have any disposable money. That's why I got into the business, to make disposable income. My husband had a full-time job, but it wasn't something that, it pretty much paid our bills, and we had no money left over at the end of the month for anything fun or vacations, that sort of thing. So what we did is we took out a HELOC, or a home equity line of credit, on my home at the time. And I know many people would say that's risky, but you know what? I wanted in one way or another. I wanted to be able to get into the business. So we took out a HELOC for $40,000. My husband said, you know what? Let's take half of that. Let's see what you do. You do good things, and I'll give you the other half. Well, obviously, a year later, we fast forward. We made $2 billion, and now here we are, fast forward almost 8 years later. My husband's retired and loving life, loving real estate. We went from 0 to 37 properties in less than 2 years' time, and now at the age of 34, I've achieved financial freedom through real estate investing. And again, my motto is, live where you want to live, but invest where it makes sense. If you guys live, no matter where you live, if it doesn't make sense for you in your backyard, here in Southern California, there might be a deal or two here or there that make good sense. I've done a couple short sales here and there. However, I have not been able to make a living where I live. I know a lot of you live in markets that are just like that. So if you happen to live in a place where you can make money in this business, awesome. That's fantastic, wonderful. You can apply this information that I'm going to share with you and make money. If you don't, you can still live where you want to live and do this virtually, which is what I'm going to share with you. Here is a 1-year blueprint of what we did. I told you before, we started up here with our $40K home equity. My husband said, take half of it. We did that. We made $30,000 on our first deal, and then we bought these 3 deals. And then it kind of goes to show each time we made money, what properties that we bought and where. Honestly, it's something that we've used leverage. We used, all of the information that we gained over the time. Obviously, applied, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is really where you're going to make the money. Okay, you have to apply what you learned here tonight. This is my first purchase. Just wanted to kind of show you guys what these homes look like. Again, we purchased these in 23 different markets all across the U.S. They look very similar to something like this, okay? These are what we call our bread and butter mid-America houses, okay? A lot of the places where we invest are in the Midwest, and we're looking at home prices anywhere from $10,000 on average on up to maybe $75,000. Okay, this was my first purchase for $36,000. This is what it looks like. You can see here that it's in need of some repair. This is a back, like a back porch type area that we converted to a 3rd bedroom to add income and rents. This is the kitchen in need of updating. This is what happened to me 3 months into my real estate investing journey. This is the point where, how you guys have, I'm sure you guys have this, where you've got people in your family that, when you get started, either your spouse, your parents, or your friends are like, oh, wow, everybody's got a horror story to tell you. My brother's aunt lost her tail in real estate, blah, blah, blah. Well, at this point, I had all the negative Nellies in my family, too. And at this point, my husband, my parents, everybody was saying to me, see, I told you, you should have gone into real estate. We knew it, all this sort of thing. And I said, nope, I'm not going to do this. I was so motivated. I was so sick of the situation I was in, and I so wanted to make more money that I said, you know what, I'm sticking to this. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to focus and believe. And I've got a system. I've got some strategies in place, and I'm going to make this work. Well, long story short, we rehabbed this house. These are some of the pictures of what it looked like. It was a pretty messy rehab. $40,000 worth of damage. Okay, 7 months later and $10,000